Hello and welcome to Geeky Bit. Today in tech history, I'd like to talk to you about USB drives. Some of you might be going, whoa, wait, I still use USB drives. What are you talking about, tech history? Well, I want to talk about the first USB drives. In fact, they weren't flash drives, they were hard drives. USB flash storage was not introduced until the latter part of 2000. So before 2000, if you wanted a USB drive, it was going to be a hard drive. And of course, those were sold as early as 1997 from what I remember, but weren't popular until at least the latter part of 1998. So this is an example of the early USB hard drives, and this right here in particular is the exact model that I used to have in the late 90s. Before portable USB hard drives, the popular format was the iOmega Zip Disk, and it dominated the market as far as large portable storage goes back in the mid 90s. Those original USB hard drives had a read and write speed of 16.6 megabytes a second, and later 33 megabytes a second. However, the USB standard of the time was much slower. USB 1.0 and 1.1 had a data throughput of 12 megabits a second, or 1.5 megabytes a second, leaving those early USB hard drives very unsaturated for data throughput. So I never had any intention of making a video about USB hard drives. However, when doing research for another video, I found the information about early USB hard drives to be sparse or practically non-existent. So I felt this would be a perfect video for this channel. With all of that out of the way, let's get into my story about USB hard drives. So back in the late 90s, I worked at a computer repair shop and had a group of friends that were all into computers like me. While working at that computer shop, I was able to buy things like an IDE zip drive and later on a USB hard drive. Of course, the reason I got these things is so that I could share files between my friends and I. Back in the early days of the internet, files took a long time to download, so us friends would each get a portion and then later share them together, so the overall downloaded file was much faster to get. Every Friday night back then, us friends got together at a local pizza place called the Golden Half Dollar Pizza Parlor, and we would share a 16-inch pizza amongst the 6 of us. We would spend an hour or so just chit-chatting and thinking we were so cool talking about cutting-edge computer stuff. Oliver would always comment how it was just like that hangout scene in the movie Hackers. Levi would complain to Oliver about how Oliver made that same comment every single week. And while Levi thought the movie was awesome, he also was like, this movie is very inaccurate, and would always tell us about it. After that, if we were out of pizza, that would mark when we would go our separate ways, and I would take my USB drive and go to each person's house and get their piece of the file. Normally after that, I would go to Tim's house first, as he was the closest, and then after I would go to my best friend Marcus's house, and then from there I would go over to Oliver's house, and then to Levi's, and then last I would go to Owen's house. And after all that, I took myself and my USB drive home. It was painfully slow to do this. However, it was years faster than each of us downloading the whole file ourselves. And it was also a lot faster than using Marcus's external zip drive. Marcus's zip drive was painfully slow at 0.2 megabytes a second, or 1.6 megabits a second, versus my USB drive that wrote at 1 to 1.4 megabytes a second. With my USB drive, it only took 2 to 5 minutes per stop. My round trip after the pizza place was right around an hour and 15 minutes. Marcus, on the other hand, took 2 to 2.5 hours to get all of it done with his zip drive. Once I got all of the copying done, it would usually take another hour or two all by itself just to combine the files. Of course, that would usually mean I would deliver the completed file the next day, usually Saturday afternoon, to each friend's house. Marcus used to love chit-chatting about computers with me, and he was wildly impatient, so many times he would go together with me and ask for the files to be combined at his house so that way he could have the files faster. Sometimes, if it was something we all wanted fast, we would go together as a group and make a night of it, laughing and chit-chatting about computers the whole way. Those days were so fun. Us friends sharing what little internet speed we had, with a lot of camaraderie and entertainment. It's sad that things like this just don't happen anymore. Here are my thoughts on USB hard drives. USB hard drives are alive and well today, and I think the reason is they are a great way to copy files from one computer to another, or to back up files that you need backed up. I was a little shocked about the complete lack of information about the early USB hard drives, so a lot of this video had to be filled in from my memories of those early USB hard drives. It's hard to believe this tech is already well over 20 years old for both hard drive and flash storage. Back in 1998, I paid over $250 for my 13GB USB hard drive. Now you can get a 16GB USB 3.0 drive for $5 or less. And you can get a 14TB hard drive for $260. With faster hardwired and Wi-Fi speeds, I wonder how much longer USB drives will be a predominant media. Thanks for watching this episode of Tech History. If you enjoyed it as much as I did making it, feel free to subscribe if you aren't already, and click that like button. And if you want to get notifications of new videos, click that bell button.